Someone is Hiding on Alcatraz Island by Eve Bunting, Chapter 9. Did you find Bean? Priest asked. No. My stomach unclenched. That nice sunken-in nest had hidden Jellybean from the path. Thank you, God. We searched the whole damn island, but there's a million places he could be. Maxie's eyes, like cowboys, were fixed on something in Biddy's cell. It wasn't hard to figure out what. I was the reason they'd come to Alcatraz, but now they had her. I might still be Priest's main interest, but I sure wasn't theirs. Maxie put the music back on. You know, Bean, he said. He's always off poking that long nose of his into something. Forget about Bean for now. It had to be raining hard outside. Water dripped from Cowboy's big hat and ran in puddles from the bottom of the poncho. His hair hung sleek and straight so that he looked more like Cohise or Geronimo than any cowboy. We'll check again later. Bean's got to learn he can't go messing around on his own like that. Remember in the parking lot that time when we were going to jump the Gomez sisters and he was supposed to wait outside the elevators and... Priest began. Cowboy turned his stare on him. I said, forget Bean for now. He took off his hat, shook it, and put it back on again. Hey, Priest said. You know the watchman, some old girl called Mabel or something? Can you beat it? Maxie giggled and reached out to make the music louder. We watched her for a while through the windows. Silly-looking old bag. She's sitting there, playing cards with herself and listening to some cruddy, high-balling music. Big old broad, built like a trolley car. Maybe you should have brought her up here, Priest said. We could have partied. Cowboy's voice was cold. Don't be stupid. She can't know we're here. Tomorrow we leave on the first boat back. Nobody knows. Nobody hassles us. I'll know, Biddy said sharply, and I thought, be quiet, Biddy, just be quiet. Cowboy smiled, and I saw his big gravestone teeth. Sure, you'll know, honey baby, but you won't tell. I won't if you let us go now, Biddy said. I won't say a word. And if we don't let you go now? The eyes under the hat brim were staring at her, staring. There was silence, and then Biddy said quietly, I guess I won't tell then either. I breathed again. Good, Biddy. I saw Cowboy's face, the shadows under the cheekbones, the broad, fleshy nose. Yes, you will, he said. Maxie hopped from one foot to the other, looking in at Biddy, up at Cowboy, over at me, up and down and round, his eyes rolling like dice. Maybe she doesn't understand, Cowboy, Maxie said. Tell her what'll happen to her if she talks. How it'll be a lot worse than tonight. None of the other girls ever told. Maybe she doesn't understand. Cowboy nodded as if he just made a decision. She understands, but she's not like the others. She'll tell. His head flickered toward my cell. Danny boy now, he won't tell, but he's with her. I had never been so scared in my life. It wasn't hard to figure the way Cowboy was thinking. They'd leave in the morning on the first boat, but where would we be? Some place where we wouldn't tell. Some place like the bottom of the bay. Who'd know I'd ever been on Alcatraz? No one. And I imagined what people would say about Biddy. Wasn't it awful about that national park ranger who disappeared the other night? One of the other rangers said she'd planned on staying over on the island all night. Something to do with the birthday? Pretty foolish of her. But nowadays, these young people think they can do anything. She must have fallen off one of the cliffs into the sea. Too bad. Really, really sad. I could see the two bodies being fished from the water, probably miles apart, with nothing to connect them. The way the ocean currents ran, Biddy might be pulled in from Sausalito and me from Half Moon Bay. I didn't think the outlaws had ever killed anyone, but I knew they could, if they had to. In a way, we were all in a trap. Biddy and I couldn't escape. They couldn't let us escape. I retreated to the back of the cell, sat down with my hands behind me, and dug feverishly at the hole. I was as breathless as if I'd run 1,000,000 miles. Maxie turned the stereo sound up. There was something wordless playing, something with a beat like African drums, and he was moving with it, shimmying, sometimes where I could see him, sometimes out of my view. His legs seemed boneless, letting him down like a gut trying to wriggle under a fence without touching the wire, then bringing him up again. And his eyes were on Biddy wherever he moved, peering back at her over his shoulder, watching her from under the crook of his elbow. Whatever Maxie was doing made my mouth go dry. I rose to my feet and moved over to the door. Something was coming, that I knew. It hung in the cold, still air, like those first faint rumblings of walls and floors and dangling lights before the earthquake hits full force. "You dance very well," Biddy said. I couldn't believe she was saying that in a cool, clear voice. Why didn't she just keep quiet and not make them notice her any more than they were noticing her already? Why didn't she hold on and pray that the earthquake would pass? "Oh, yeah?" Maxie was spurred on to lower lows, one hand on the ground, one leg going out as he spun like a skater on ice. "Very well," Biddy said. Priest was swaying from side to side too, trying to snap his pudgy fingers, grinning his imbecile grin. Only Cowboy stood motionless in the shadow of his wet black hat. The music had changed. It was a pulse now, with something terrifying in it. "Watch this!" Maxie had one arm out, the other against his chest as he leaped and spun. "I bet you're a good dancer too, Red. You like to dance?" "Sure," Biddy said. Was she crazy? And then I understood. We'd stood in the dark and she'd said to me, "You'll know." She hadn't planned this. It had happened and she was taking advantage of it. It would get her out of the cell where maybe she'd have a chance. "Go open the doors, Priest," Maxie ordered. His feet were still moving, slithering around on the floor, his elbows and shoulders jerking up and down. "It's okay, isn't it, Cowboy?" he asked, without taking his gaze from Biddy. "It's okay to have some fun?" My fingers tightened on the bars. Yes or no? It hung in the balance. I didn't want it to be yes, for Biddy to go out there and be pawed by these weirdos. But what if she could do something? And what if they kept on dancing and I got a chance to dig away at my escape hole? Cowboy was thinking about it. "No way," Biddy said. "I said I liked to dance. I didn't say I'd enjoy it with a toad like you." "Hey, hey, honey baby." Cowboy's voice was soft, and he showed his big horse teeth. "Don't turn your back on us when we're talking to you. I can see we're going to have to teach you some manners. And if this nice boy here is kind enough to ask you to dance, you'll dance. Open the door, Priest, and stay out there. Keep an eye open for the old broad." "Aw, Cowboy," Priest whined. "I'm sick of watching and hanging around. I want to have some fun too." "You're going to have fun. Lots of fun. Fun with Danny Boy. But it's early. There's no need to rush anything. No need for any of us to rush anything. These are just preliminaries." Maxie giggled, and Cowboy turned his head toward Priest. "Get going." Priest went at a trot to the end of the cell block. In a minute, the door slid open. "Just move back, Danny Boy," Cowboy said. "It's not your turn yet. And you, honey baby, you move forward." She must have hung back because Cowboy took a quick step and yanked her from behind the bars. The door slammed again, leaving me on the inside, her on the outside. Biddy had pressed herself tight against the closed door of her cell, but I'd never been as certain of anything as I was of this. She was exactly where she wanted to be. She played it right, knowing that if she hung back, they'd make her come out. If she'd been eager, Cowboy would have kept her inside. "Dance," Cowboy said, and he yanked her forward again. Now Maxie was writhing toward her, and Cowboy was dancing too, both of them facing Biddy like a pair of wild, dark birds strutting to attract the female. Biddy's face was white. Her hair gathered all the light from the lantern and held it, trapped in its own redness. Neither Cowboy nor Maxie had touched her yet, and I wanted to move back, to get on with what I should be doing. I had to. But I couldn't. I was hypnotized. There was no way I could tear myself away from the bars. They jiggled out of my sight now,